Good afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Very exciting times. I'm going to give a first impression, not a full review, just a first impression, because I know lots and lots of people have been asking for this, and which is quite mad really, because we don't normally get asked for, I never really, people very rarely ask me for reviews, but I've been asked an awful lot for this one, and it is, of course, Nasomatto's Fantomas. Now, as I say, it's very much a first impression because I only have a sample. Now, just a big thank you as well to one of my subscribers, or one of our subscribers, a guy called Ari, who is posting me a sample as well, but it hasn't actually arrived yet. I'm sure it will any day, but I managed to get an official sample from Nasomatto, and it came today, it came this morning. So I've been wearing it for about 5 or so hours, 4.5 hours. So this is a first impression. I can't give you any more than that. I just wanted to get something out there so you guys can get my take on it so far. A word on the sample though, the packaging was absolutely crazy. It came in it was FedExed in a big box, and the sample itself, there's lots of sort of paperwork and paraphernalia and stuff about Nasomatto, but the sample itself came in this. This was sealed in a gel bag, and the gel was an absolute nightmare to get off your hands, and you opened it up, and then you open up this little tube thing here, and the little official Fantomas sample comes out. Now, I've taken the liberty of decanting it into a sprayer, because I think with, if you're buying a perfume that is sprayed, I think it's always best to spray it yourself, because I think they behave slightly, perfumes do behave slightly differently when they're sprayed or swiped. You've only got to look at the difference between a perfume and an attar to give you a vague idea. So I decanted it and sprayed it. I'm wearing it at the moment, and I have had a little top up just before the video, just to refresh myself with the opening. So I've got the opening here and the dry down here. Wow is the only thing I can say. Wow, wow, wow. I'm really into this one. This is great, and this is it's so different but so similar to other Nasomatto or Auto Parages. When you smell it, dry down, opening, it doesn't instantly remind you of any of the other perfumes that Alessandro Gualtieri's made for Nasomatto or for Auto Paresi. It is different. However, it starts to then, after maybe 40 minutes to an hour, to start to reveal other facets within the perfume that do kind of remind me a lot of a couple of one from Nasomatto and one from Auto Paresi, and they're both perfumes I own and love and know very well. So that's a good thing. The first thing that sort of took me by surprise is, obviously you have to, with all of the Nasomattos and with all of the Auto Paresis, you always have to look at the ad campaign that goes with the perfume, because I'd love to sit in in Alessandro's mind to see how he's going to go. Does he come up with the idea for the perfume and then make a perfume to suit the campaign, or the campaign and whichever way around it happens? Because the campaigns and the perfume seem to mirror themselves perfectly. Now, Fantomas, in the teaser video we obviously explore the fact that Fantomas is a character from fiction, was a master villain, was a master of disguise, a difficult one to catch, and all the rest of it. And then obviously we then noticed that the official Nasomatto campaign kind of echoed that. We were kind of along the right lines there. There's a picture of the head with the smoke machine pouring out of it and all this kind of thing. So that this perfume's going to be airy, it's going to be a wispy one, and there's lots of clues about, I'm everywhere but you can't find me, sort of thing. So again, my thought process and Rich's thought process was, this is going to be a very airy perfume, and it is a very airy perfume. It's beautiful, in fact. But I was really surprised by the direction that this perfume goes in. It is a very sweet perfume as well, but not ultra sweet. It kind of comes in waves. So when you spray it, you have a lemon-esque, melony lemon kind of melange that's almost got a creamy undertone to it. But there's almost a kind of like a little minerally, almost salty-like vibe sitting underneath it. So although it's sweet, it's not cloying. And the reason it's not cloying is it's because it's quite airy. Even at the opening stage, it's incredibly airy. So you can imagine it filling a room. And, I've been wandering around the house. I've got the house to myself, so no one can smell it on me, unfortunately. but it does seem to be everywhere. And I've only sprayed a little. So, you know, it's going to be a 30 ml. It's an extractor parfum, I believe. So it's going to be, you know, you're not going to need a lot to go a long way. But the one thing you will notice though, when you spray it on your skin for the first time, is it's quite abundant. You know, you don't have to look for it, but you think that's quite soft. You know, especially if you look at some of the others from Nasomatto, like your Duro or your Pardon or Black Afghano, they're all quite hardy. You know, they've got quite a big presence when they hit your skin. It's like a thump. This kind of hits your skin and bounces off into the air, and you like, when you bury your nose into it, you know, you're there. Don't get me wrong, you're not looking for it, you know it's there, but it's all around you. It's not so much on the spot you've sprayed. So if you go into the opening, it's still really, really sweet and almost creamy at this stage. And then here, it's completely different. It still retains that early charge, but it becomes very more woodsy and more musky. Now, obviously I've mentioned in many, many videos that Mr. Gualtieri does like to use this kind of musk, and this musk is here again, and it's beautiful. It suits it perfectly. It gives it an edge. It just makes it slightly edgy. Now, what I will say is, when that fruity sort of opening starts to calm down, it starts very much reminding me of Auto Parese's Seminalis, but a lot lighter than Seminalis. Seminalis is quite a heavy fragrance. Fantomas is very light and airy. Also, with Seminalis, you've got a huge, well, not a huge amount, but you've got quite a lot of patchouli that gives it a sharpness. And if you were to, say, for example, swap the patchouli out from Seminalis, make Seminalis airy, and swap the patchouli out for like this sort of fruity, melony, creamy note, then you're kind of in the right ballpark. It does, in the dry down, become very quite woodsy. It still has that sort of lemony, melony note, and I don't want to use the word citrus because it doesn't feel like a citrus fragrance. It's, I don't know, they've managed to take the flavour, or the, you know, the sweet sort of flavour from a lemon and a melon, and turn it into a fruit rather than a citrus, if that makes sense. And at that stage, it starts to remind me quite a bit of Blamage. I think these are the two that I've smelt from Alessandro that remind me the most of Fantomas. But Fantomas is a very good perfume, and despite the fact it has facets that remind me of these two, I think it's very much its own perfume. And I also think it's a bit of a departure from Nasomatto, because what they've done here is they've made the crossover fragrance. This is a frag that if you were to go into a department store and just assume that you weren't a frag head and you walked up to the Nasomatto counter and looked at all those weird, wonderful bottles that they have, they're all amazing, pick them up. Some of them you're never going to get on with. You know, they're more for people that are into perfume than someone walking off the street that isn't. If you had no background in perfume and someone sprayed this on you and said, try that, this is a new Nasomatto, you would like it. And that is what they've achieved here. They've achieved a perfume that everyone will like. It's unisex, possibly a little feminine maybe, but I think it's completely unisex. It seems to be really, really, really pleasant. I'm certainly going to be after a bottle of it. But when I say this is a mass appealing Nasomatto, it is. But what they've also done is they've resisted the urge to make a designer fragrance or something that smells like a designer fragrance. It's incredibly obvious that this is a Nasomatto that you're smelling. It's got all the strange chemicals and you know, twists and turns that you would expect from a Nasomatto that you wouldn't get in sort of like a designer fragrance. So it's a really, really interesting one. It's also one of the hardest fragrances that I've sampled to try and convey to you how it feels, because it's a real experience, it's more of an experience rather than a wear, shall we say, because of this airy nature to it. I can't wait to, I'm holding back on using the rest of my sample because I want to go out at some point and wear it out, and just to see what the reaction is from other people, because that's going to be the key to it. For me personally, it smells divine. I love it. I think it's really good and really clever, and I love the airy nature of it. So, and when you have an airy perfume, that kind of means it's going to work all year round as well. So it's not going to be a summer-based frag or a winter frag. I think Fantomas can work at any time or shape. You know, any time or shape, any time of year is going to be fine for you to wear it. In terms of longevity, as I say, I've had it on quite a while now and it's not going anywhere. I mean, the dry down is becoming more and more interesting, and that opening hour doesn't seem to do much in the way of changes. It's just introducing, it's setting its stall out, it's introducing the other elements that are going to come to follow. But it is sweet and it is fruity, but it's not cloying because of this airy nature. If anything, I would expect this to be compared to Maison Francis Coeur de Gen's Baccarat Rouge 540. They don't smell at all alike, but they do that same sort of thing. Although I would say with Fantomas, you've got more of a base than with BR540. I think a lot of people struggle to smell BR540 on themselves, whereas with Fantomas, you're never going to have that issue because it's taken the airy nature and done it really well. But what it's also done is it's not neglected the base on your skin, so you are always aware of it. You know, where you've sprayed it is quite a strange thing. As I mentioned earlier, it's like, I sprayed it here, I did a spray it here, I did a spray it here, because the whole thing seems to be there, but it's everywhere. So yeah, it's a really clever perfume. I'm really into this. And what I'm going to do is obviously a much more in-depth review when I finally get my mitts on a bottle, which will happen. And then when we do, we'll look at the presentation and all the rest of it. And by that time, I'll have worn my sample quite a bit and probably worn my bottle when I get it a fair bit, so I can give you kind of more of a road test. But it's certainly going to be added to my collection. I think it's an absolute fascinating perfume. It smells divine, and I really recommend you sample it. It's a Nasomatto. Don't blind buy it, because there's bound to be someone out there that's not going to like it. Personally, as I said earlier, it's a very I think everyone's going to love it, but because of that musk and the other, you know, weird and wonderful twists, some people aren't going to like it, so please sample it first. But there you go. This is my take on Fantomas, and as I say, it's very much a first impressions. I haven't had it long, but I wanted to get something out there because I've had quite a few direct messages asking me to review it as soon as I can. So I hope this keeps your, whets your appetite until I can get a bottle and get a full review out for you guys. So listen, thank you ever so much for your time. I hope this has been helpful for you. And if you have got it, pitch in. Let us know what you think if you've been able to road test it a bit longer than I have, because it's exciting times. Anyway, thanks very much, guys. Cheers and bye. Guys, good afternoon. So this is now 2.5 hours since I made the Fantomas video. I just popped out to do some shopping, pick my son up, and the Fantomas is still very noticeable on my skin. In fact, it's still doing that airy thing. So performance wise, yeah, it's a good one. Anyway, thanks very much. Cheers and bye.